5 rookie mistakes to avoid when buying your first rental property that could save you thousands. What's up everybody? My name is Evan, and when I was 22 years old, I actually bought my first rental property and I had no idea what I was doing. A couple years later, I actually bought this 4-unit and then this duplex. And currently I am in the process of converting this single family home into a rental property as well. And while that all seems nice, I am very proud of it, but I promise that these properties didn't come without their headaches and knucklehead decisions like a $10,000 mistake that I made that I will be talking about later in this video. But most importantly, I want to make sure that you don't make the same mistakes that I did when you first buy your first rental property. It's just cousin Evan looking out for you. And last thing I'll say is that you really want to make sure to pay attention to number 1 and number 5. Those alone will save you thousands. So the first mistake that I see new investors make is that they rely solely on their realtor to provide them deals, whether that's off of Zillow or the MLS, which realtors have access to. And although there are deals to be had on the market, I know people that have gotten tremendous deals on the market, you do have to wait for them to actually come up on the market for sale. And depending on your area, it may take 1 or 2 years for good deals to start popping up. So I'm going to give you an actionable strategy so you can be proactive in also stirring up some off-market opportunities so that you have more deals in your pipeline and you can choose the best ones from off-market or on the market from your realtor. And don't worry, if you buy an off-market property, you can still use a realtor for guidance if you would like. So let me tell you this actionable strategy that you can implement as soon as today to locate some off-market opportunities that you could potentially get below market value. But first, remember the first duplex and the 4-unit that I was talking about earlier in this video? Well, I actually found those both off market, and because I did that, I was able to get $25,000 of instant equity into our 4-unit because we bought it below market. And I was able to get an instant $10,000 on my very first duplex because once again, it was off market and undervalued. And not only were we able to get a below market value for these properties, the rents were also below market, meaning we were able to instantly go in there and create a lot more cash flow for these properties. So why am I telling you this? Because there is power in being able to locate and find opportunities off market. And I don't want you to limit yourself just to properties on market. So quickly, how can you find off-market opportunities that are below market value? First, I want you to drive around your local area to where you would purchase your first rental. For instance, if you wanted to buy a 2 to 4 unit house hack, look at all of the 2 to 4 unit residential buildings, write down the addresses and compile a list. And simultaneously, while you are doing that, I want you to go to your real estate agent and have them print you off a list or an Excel that they can send you with expired, withdrawn, and canceled rentals in the past 365 days. You want to make sure that the owner's names are on there and their primary home addresses as well. So you have your list that you compiled driving around and locating properties that you would purchase that are off market. And then you also have the list from your agent that you can form together. And the next step is to go to truepeoplesearch.com. And this is actually how I was able to find one of my properties that I ended up purchasing. All you have to do is type in the address, hit search, and then compare the names on the list from the tax assessor's website, and bam, you have their contact information to where you can reach out via phone, or sometimes they'll have their email as well. From there, pick up the phone, smile and dial, and find some great off-market opportunities. This leads us into our next mistake that I see new investors make, which is you make buying your first rental property emotional, which I have to say I was the absolute worst with. I'm curious if you can relate. When I was under contract on my first rental property, there was no way that I was not going to close on this because I wanted it so bad. Listen to me when I say this is actually the worst thing that you can do. This will lead you to overlooking deferred maintenance during due diligence, juicing up the numbers to seem better than what they actually are, and honestly, just not being rational about your decision in purchasing the property. And when you are emotional with buying your first rental, it's like you have blinders on and all you can see is that finish line of closing, signing the papers, and voila, you are finally a real estate investor, and you really don't want to do that. Right? There's a reason they put blinders on racing horses so they don't get distracted by what's next to them, and all they have to do is focus on going straight through that finish line. So in a way, I guess I'm saying don't be a racing horse. At the end of the day, buying rental properties is a business and should be treated as a business, even if it is your first property. Keep that in mind and you will be set. Now, real quick, if you're looking to buy your first or next rental property, make sure to go down in the description below and check out that first link. Join my community of over 1,000 investors. The purpose of the community is so that you can be that much closer to closing on your first or next rental property and avoiding mistakes like these in the process. So go check that out. Leading into number 3, which is picking the right agent. And honestly, probably not in the way that you would think. You want an agent that has experience in helping people in the same real estate strategy that you are currently looking to pursue. For instance, let's just say that your goal is to buy a 2 to 4 unit rental property, right? You'll make sure it hits the 1% rule. You're going to be using an FHA 3.5% down loan. You're going to live in one of the units, rent out the others. You're going to want an agent that has resources, but also lenders that have helped people do the same exact house hacking strategy. This will not only benefit you for being able to lean on them because they've been in these experiences before, but it will also give you more confidence in knowing that the deal will probably close because you have the right team assembled. And it all starts with your real estate agent. I actually spoke with a real estate investor recently, and she was telling me one of her biggest mistakes starting off was buying her first rental property with an agent that didn't give her a lot of resources. She actually wanted to do this 2 to 4 unit house hacking strategy that I just talked about. And basically she was told that she would have to put 20% down on a primary home loan on a 2 to 4 unit property. So her not knowing the difference and not knowing anything because she's just starting out, trusted her agent. So she ended up going and putting 20% down with the local bank on a duplex. She would soon find out that she actually paid a lot more than what she had to. She could have utilized an FHA 3.5% down loan, which her agent never made her aware of, and neither did the lender. And for those of you that do not know, the FHA 3.5% down is like the most popular loan that you can do for house hacking. And now it's a lot more popular because a lot of people on social media talk about it. All this to say, she bought a property for around $200,000. She could have put $7,000 down with an FHA loan, but she ended up having to put $40,000 down with her 20% down primary home loan. She actually mentioned that if she were to do it over, she would have 100% used the FHA loan, purchased that first duplex, house hacked it, and while she did that, she would have went out and actually bought a second rental property where she could have put 20% down, allowing her to buy 2 properties instead of the one that she actually found. Now, I hope this kind of sets in why your real estate agent is so important and is the most important person in your team. This one will 100% save you thousands of dollars if you can avoid it, which is understanding your renovation costs. I went into my first 2 rental properties with a budget in my head of what it would cost in order to renovate these properties. And I promise you, I was the least qualified person to estimate in my head, nonetheless, just estimate renovation costs in general. So I was doomed to fail from the start. I think I was acting like a racing horse and was just wanting to get the deal done. I went into my 4 unit thinking that, hey, I'm gonna need $10,000 of repairs and that's it. And $25,000, my budget was actually $35,000. Luckily, we were able to afford that. Unfortunately, that could hurt or really destroy a lot of people's first experience with buying real estate. So here's the process that I recommend you use in my process now whenever I do buy a rental property now. As soon as I get my home inspection report, I automatically shoot it over to my contractor, which hopefully you can find through your realtor or through local Facebook groups. And I send that inspection report over to them. They will look at it and I will tell them a scope of work of what I would like done, and they will give me a budget from low end to high end finishes. What this does is give you a worst case scenario or best case scenario. Always go for the worst case. Always prepare your numbers as if the worst case was going to happen, which you should take the highest number possible from your quote. And if possible, you would really like he or her to get into the property so that they can actually see hands-on and give you a better scope of work. So swallow your pride. Talking to myself, and go ahead and get accurate renovation information. This is crucial to having a successful career as a real estate investor. And this 5th and last mistake that you need to avoid when buying your first rental property could actually save you the most in the long run, which is having a mentor. And I'm not gonna lie, these are actually kind of hard to find because you wanna be able to find a mentor that is in the position that you would like to be in, maybe in the next 3, 5, 10 years. right? You want to make sure that they are doing the thing that you want to do. For me specifically, buy and hold rental properties, doing the BRRRR strategy, house hacking. I want someone that has all that experience, has done all of it, and has great systems in place so I can learn drastically more in a shorter time frame. Now, the best advice that I can give you is people like working with people that they like. So with that being said, you really want to meet face-to-face people. So if you have any events in your area, if there's any investor groups on Facebook that connect maybe once a month, you want to make sure to attend those or reach out to people that have a big portfolio in your area, see if you can take them out to lunch. But always, always, always try to provide value with nothing in return. If you do that, you're not going to come off as salesy or only wanting something from them, and it's going to work out a ton more than if you go into it expecting something in return. I actually set out in the beginning of this year to help 5 people absolutely for free, guide them towards buying their very first rental property with weekly accountability, all of the resources that I have in all of my calculators. And to my surprise, I've gotten a good amount of people reach out. And I'm currently working with 2 people right now on weekly basis. And hopefully in the next 3 to 6 months, they're gonna land their very first rental property. This actually brings me a ton of joy. I recently helped out a buddy of mine and he absolutely loves it now and he's crushing it. If you are interested, go down in the description below and follow me on Instagram and reach out. Or my email is accessible so you can reach out that way. And I'd love to see if we're a good fit to work together. With that, thank you everybody and happy investing.